So we just got back from a road trip. We did do a lot of drives through the mountains. I did want to talk a little bit about how that road trip went. It was the first road trip that I got to use FSD version 14. We were still on version 14.1.4. And as a lot of people are reporting, it does have some problems with stopping and trying to avoid objects in the road, especially leaves. And I will say that is definitely the most common reason that I disengaged FSD during the trip, is if it was trying to avoid leaves, especially when you're on the mountain roads and you're kind of weaving back and forth at slow speeds anyway, and then it's also kind of stopping and swerving for leaves that are blowing across the road. That is not comfortable. So I had to disengage just to make it more comfortable and not get road sick, because we kind of tend to get road sick on those types of roads anyway. So that was my biggest complaint actually about FSD 14.1.4. So I really hope that they're going to fix that soon. Make it not so scared of objects. It also swerved around paint in the road, and it also did brake a little bit for a butterfly flying in front of the car. So some pretty crazy things for it to be avoiding, which were completely unnecessary. However, it did brake pretty hard for these large birds that were flying in front of us. I don't think we were going to hit them even if we had kept speed, but it did actually slow down, and that was actually good because there was no chance of us hitting those birds, so that was good. So it's avoiding a lot of the things that I would want it to avoid, like some potholes it avoids appropriately, objects in the road that are actually something you don't want to run over. It's doing that well. It's just also avoiding things it doesn't need to. So that makes it less comfortable. So hopefully they iron that out for 1.5 or 1.6, or hopefully it doesn't have to go all the way to 14.2 to get that smoothness. But anyway, that was the main takeaway from using FSD on our trip. It did actually park us in a Supercharger. So that was the first time just taking it on a road trip. Just let it go to the Supercharger. It navigated there, and then it backed into a Supercharger. Now, one of the stalls was out of order, so potentially, I guess it could have parked at the wrong one. I don't know if it actually knows which one it can or cannot get a charge at, but that was actually pretty cool to actually get from our house, so we can just pull out of the driveway. It'll drive all the way to a Supercharger or destination and park where it needs to park for you to get a charge. That's really, really nice. So overall, there's a lot of things that FSD 14 is clearly able to do that 13 or previous versions were not able to do. They've really bridged that gap, that those final few feet of a drive where it can park in a parking lot or it can pull up to a Supercharger or whatever it may be. So once we get some more options of exactly where you want it to park, or exactly what maybe you want it to do at the location, so maybe you want it to park far back in the parking lot or something like that. Once we get those options, it's going to be amazing for road trips, especially. Now, they did have the shareholder meeting last week, and they Elon, of course, had to say that we're getting really close to unsupervised. He said that within a couple of months we would be able to text and drive, which is not even legal. So I don't really know. I guess people do it anyway, and like if you don't get caught or whatever, then I guess but I don't think it's really a good idea for them to say that they're going to let you text and drive, because you would still get pulled over from, by a cop if they saw you just like on your phone while you're supposed to be paying attention. So obviously there's going to be some legal regulations that are going to have to kind of catch up to that, if in fact we do get the option to not have our attention glued on the driving like we do now. Obviously, if I turn away or something, it will tell me I need to pay attention, or hold the steering wheel or whatever. Right now I can do hands-free, so because it's got that attention monitoring. So hopefully we'll figure out what the regulations are of that. I mean, obviously that's the dream, right? Is unsupervised FSD. You want it to get to the point where basically you can sleep in the car and just wake up at your destination. I mean, that would be awesome if I didn't have to pay attention at all on a road trip and the car would just drive us to our destination. I am still very skeptical that we are only a few months away from that. They did say 14.2 or 3, is where they're going to be doing stuff like that and start having unsupervised. So definitely they're saying version 14 is going to be capable of unsupervised, but we haven't actually gotten an update in a little bit now since we got 14.1.4. So it is also a question of how long it's actually going to be before we even get 14.2 or 14.3 and actually test that out against all of these edge cases, because there's still certain edge cases that it has problems with, aside from it just being not as smooth as we would want it to be right now. Now, overall, the efficiency on our trip was great. We did 400 and almost 12 miles on the road trip, and the efficiency was 231.5 watt hours per mile. Watt hours per mile. So that was actually, so my lifetime on this car is 247.1 watt hours per mile over the last 16,000 miles. So 231.5 watt hours per mile is very efficient. I was very happy with that. Now, we were doing a lot of roads that were more like 50 to 60 mile per hour speed, not as much interstate, more of the mountain roads and that sort of thing. So that obviously contributes to that better efficiency. All right, so I'm going to give some input here. I went ahead and put the turn signal on because this right lane does turn into a turn-only lane, and we are going into a school zone, and I'm not sure. We tried this before, so it does say speed limit is 25 miles per hour, and it was going to slow down actually to 25 miles per hour. The lead car actually is not slowing down that much. They're keeping well above that. They're going 30. I'm pushing the accelerator. It's in Mad Max because I was pushing the accelerator to try to keep up with these people a little bit. Interesting. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it is really working for school zones, although it already switched to 45, and that was early for sure to switch back to 45 miles per hour, because this is the end school zone sign. So not perfect on the school zones, but still it did recognize a 25 mile per hour speed limit, and even with the lead car going away from us, it was able to try to stick to the 25 miles per hour. So that's actually pretty impressive. Now, those edge cases, especially ones where you need to be avoiding objects and stuff like that, those are going to have to be solved for unsupervised. So we'll see how it goes, but overall it was definitely great to be able to use FSD for the majority of our driving, and in an unfamiliar location. I was able to drive around town and that sort of thing, where I was not actually comfortable with some of the area and navigation. It all just took care of most of it without me having to worry about it. So that is definitely a load off as far as taking road trips. So FSD is where it's at for that. So anyway, that's it for this one. I just wanted to give an update on the first road trip we took in FSD 14.1.4 and how that went. And overall, I would say it went very well. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.